Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hello to all my students. In this video, I'll be talking about the next part of the GCPV system design, which we will cover about the BOS or balance of system. More specifically, we are going to look into the calculation of protection device rating and cable sizing. So let's move straight ahead to the topic. So I'm going to use this setup where I have our lecture notes on the right hand side and maybe some notes or exercises which I will write in the Word document on the left hand side of your screen. So installation of GCPV systems in Malaysia must comply with protection requirements in IEC 60364. Okay, so this covers the necessary protection elements for a PV system. Some of the elements are, for example, bypass diodes. So usually now modules are already equipped with bypass diodes. However, in rare cases where there are no bypass diodes and it is required for the system, then we need to use the following settings. Okay, they are not embedded in the module encapsulation. That means if it's not embedded in the module itself, we need to install externally. Then it must follow this criteria. So number one, it must have a voltage rating of at least 2 times the VOC STC module, right, of the protected module. So 2 times VOC STC module, we need to check the datasheet. So for example, I'm just selecting this datasheet here, SunPower datasheet. So we look at the open circuit voltage, which is 51.7 volts here. So the minimum voltage rating for the bypass diode, if we need to install an external one, is 2 times this voltage, which is 103.4 volts DC. Okay, and then have a current rating of at least 1.3 times ISTC, I short circuit STC module. So again, we refer to the short circuit current. Here it's 8.65. So we need to multiply 1.3 to this value here, and that should be the minimum rating for the bypass diode. Okay, so what is the reason it's 2 and 1.3? So I leave that for you to find out the answers. Okay, apart from that, it needs to be installed according to module manufacturer's specification, if provided. It needs to be installed so no live parts are exposed. So any external installation must be sufficiently and properly covered, using casing or any relevant or suitable ways of connection. And then it must be protected from degradation due to environmental factors, especially when it's exposed to the sunlight, right, and the weather. So bypass diode needs to be protected so it does not fail before its end of life cycle. Okay, then we go to the overcurrent protection. So again, we apply the principle of discrimination, where in the event of a fault, lower level protection should trip first. Okay, so the closest protection device should operate first before the other ones, the further ones operate. So usually when we talk about this overcurrent protection, we refer to the figure or the schematic diagram as shown in the left hand side. Okay, so now we refer to the PV, the strings, okay, here. So this is a standard connection as stipulated in our Malaysian standards, which any type of installation needs to follow. Now, actually, there are a number of circuits, a number of different connection categories depending on our system design. So I'm just using one example here. So we need to read carefully. So this schematic diagram is for a 3-phase grid connected PV system with single MPPT inverter. Okay, so how do we know it's a 3-phase system? We look at the AC side. So the DC side should be the same because they don't have single phase or 3-phase because it's DC. So we see example here. So all is DC here. Now we check the AC side, which is the right hand side after the inverter. So we see there are 4 lines here. So these 4 lines represent red, yellow, blue, and neutral. Or a more standard labeling is L1, L2, L3, and neutral. So we know from this schematic here that it is a 3-phase system. Okay. For PV strings, okay, again mentioned here, the DC voltage and current rating must follow PV module manufacturer's specification. Okay, we need to check the installation manual, PV installation manual. If not specified, this formula will be used. For DC rated trip current, so the trip current must be between 1.5 to 2. Okay, 1.5 to 2, in between, or the same. So simplest one would be 2 times the short circuit current. So we multiply 2 with for example, if we are using this module, so 2 times 8.65, then that would be the maximum rated trip current, and the minimum would be 1.5. So we select the best overcurrent protection, maybe fuse rating, the fuse or the DC MCB that follows the range here. Whereas for the DC voltage rating, so the DC voltage rating must be at least 1.2 times the VOC STC of the array, not the module. Okay, so for example, if you have 10 modules connected in series, right? Let's say your array has 10 modules connected in series. So if the short circuit voltage here is 51.7, so times 10, that means 517 volts. Sorry, times 1.2 of 51.7, that is the minimum. So 1.2 times 51.7, we get we have 51.7 for one module, so times 10 is 517. Okay, so 517 times 1.2, so 620.4 volts. Okay, for example, let me just write that down. Okay, if we have 10 modules in series, okay, VOC one module equals to 51.7 volts. Then VOC of the array will be 517 volts. So your DC voltage rating must be equals to 1.2 times 517, which is 620.4. This is the minimum. Okay, it's more than that, and that's fine. Okay, earthing. So all metal casings and frames must be earthed according to the requirements of IEC 60364. So it's quite general statement. And then lining protection, it needs to be assessed according to the standard here, IEC 62305. If a lightning protection system is already available at the installation location, it must be verified that the PV array and associated equipment are within the protection zone of the existing system. If not, additional air termination shall be provided. Okay, so if the location already has an existing lightning protection system, so they need to conduct an investigation to make sure that the PV array is covered within the protection zone. And when a PV array is protected, the metal structure of the PV array shall be bonded to it unless the minimum safety clearances can be achieved. Now, the topic for lightning protection and the topic for earthing is covered very lightly in our lecture, just to provide some background knowledge. Okay, later on, if for your own, you can do some more reading to find out about the specifics of lightning protection and earthing protection. Okay. And then over voltage protection, so we have the term here equipotential bonding. So equipotential bonding, that means we want to make sure that all the structure, the modules, all parts of the PV system must have equivalent voltage level. So we call it equal potential. Equipotential is short for equal potential. So when the potential is the same throughout the system, that means there's no voltage difference. When there's no voltage difference, current cannot flow. Right? So that's the concept of equipotential. And then again, we need to avoid wiring loops. I covered this in our last lecture. To avoid lightning-induced voltages, we cannot have a large loop between the positive and negative cables because it will attract electromagnetic field and when there are lightning surges. So that's why the positive and negative cable we always install side by side as close to each other as possible to avoid having a loop between the positive and negative cable. Okay, and then installation of a surge protective device, and then shielding. Shielding is when we have a conductor that is connected directly to ground, and it is installed higher than the location and then the position of the PV module cables, so that whenever there is some lightning strike or induced lightning over voltage, it will go to that cable first because it's higher above. Okay, so those are about system protection. Now let's move on to cable sizing. So cable sizing, these are the requirements. So cable sizing for PV string cables, sub-array cables and PV array cables shall not be less than 2.5 millimeters squared. Okay, so that means the minimum is 2.5, even though in the market we have 1.5. For earthing conductors, it shall not be less than 10 millimeter squared. Okay. If you look carefully in the schematic diagram here, you'll see that it is mentioned explicitly. Dinyatakan dengan jelas here. Let me zoom in. So PV string cable minimum 2.5 millimeter squared. Okay, flexible type, double insulated and UV resistant. Okay, so earthing, if required, minimum 10 millimeter squared, single core copper. Okay, for frame PV module and metal casing. Alright. So that's about the cable sizing. So it must be determined by considering these two factors: the minimum current carrying capacity and the maximum voltage drop requirements. So the minimum cable size for PV array wiring based on the current carrying capacity will rely on the current rating according to the following table. So again, we see here, so for PV string cable, it should be 2 times the short circuit current of one module. And for sub-array and array cables, it should be 1.3 times the sub-array or array short circuit current. Okay, so 2 times for the string cable, 1.3 times for the sub-array and array cable. Okay. And the minimum temperature rise of ambient temperature plus 40 should be considered for cables installed near or in contact with PV modules. That means, let's say for example, our location in Malacca, the ambient temperature is 30 degrees. That means we need to assume a minimum temperature rise of 30 plus 40, which is 70 degrees C, for cables installed near or in contact with the PV modules. Now, why is this consideration important? So we need to understand the concept or the fundamental of cable properties. Okay, this table here provides the current carrying capacity for operation under standard condition. So here we have the cable size, okay, from 1.5 up until 16. And then here is the type of installation. So let's say for example, I take 2.5. So single cable free in air, then the current carrying capacity is 41 amps. But if we place the cable on a surface, let's say like a cement or maybe the floor, okay, or maybe in a trunking, then the current carrying capacity is reduced to 39 amps. Okay, even though the rated one is 41, now it's reduced to 39. To cables adjacent on surfaces, single cable, it further reduces to 33 amps. Now this is common when we want to install for a system. Usually we bundle the cable together, we put it together and we put it into one trunking. Right, so the cables are close to each other and compact surface within the trunking. So the current carrying capacity for the same cable is reduced further, in this case to 33 amps, because when cables are close to each other, each cable will generate heat. So the heat generated by the cables surrounding the surrounding area will increase the overall temperature and cause the cable to reduce its capability of carrying current. So we need to be careful about this when we do our design. We cannot calculate simply using single cable size, but we also need to consider the condition when the cables are lumped or bundled together. Okay. According to Malaysian standards, the cable sizing must have a voltage drop between the PV array and the inverter less than 3%. Okay, so if we look at the schematics here, that means the voltage drop between the PV array. So PV array, this is one array. Between the PV array here to the inverter, it must be less than 3%. Okay, no matter how far it is located. So we know that the longer the cable, the larger the voltage drop. So to compensate, we need to have a larger diameter or a larger cable size so that the voltage drop can be controlled. Okay, so to determine the cable size, the following formula is used. Okay, so this is the formula that we use, where all the variables are given here. So ADC cable is the cross-sectional area, LDC cable is the root length of the DC cable in meter, IDC is the DC current in ampere, and rho is the resistivity of the wire. So we use two types of cable, two types of material for our DC cable, PV cable, which is either copper or aluminium. Okay, so we can use these two types, and regardless of which one we use, we put the appropriate rho value in the equation here. And then for the bottom part, the denominator, we have the loss. So the loss must be in a percent. We must convert the percent, sorry. So for example, if the maximum voltage drop is 3%, then we need to convert into 0.03, which is 3 divided by 100. Okay. And then the VMP string, which is refer to the string voltage during maximum power point. But what is the string voltage? Alright. So let's see example. An example. So the VMP of the string is 216 volts and the current is 5 amps. The copper cable is 25 meter in length. If a maximum voltage drop of 2.5% is allowed, what would be the minimum cable size? So it's a copper cable, so we put in, so 2 times 25, so 25 meter, times 5 amps, times 0.0172, which is the resistivity for copper, divide by 0.025, this is the voltage drop, 2.5%, and then 216 is the VMP of the string. To get the value here, 0.796. Remember, even though when you calculate 0.796, if we refer to the table, then logically 1.5 millimeter squared is enough. But the standard requires you to use a minimum cable size of 2.5. So automatically you must say in your answer for this condition, the cable size is 2.5 millimeter squared. This is the type of cable that you must use. Okay. If when you calculate you get more than 2.5, then you need to use the appropriate cable size. Okay. So for that, I have a short exercise for you. But before that, I need to go back to the equation and explain why we have 2 here. Why do we need to multiply by 2? Now the reason for this is because we have positive and negative cable. So it must have a return path. So when we calculate the length of one cable, we multiply by 2. Because we want to represent both the positive and negative cable. So that's why we have multiplied by 2. Okay. Now, for the exercise, please refer to this drawing here. Okay. So this is example I showed you just now. So this is the follow-up question. The previous string is one of 4 strings connected in parallel. Okay, so the previous string here is represented as one string here, where the length is 25 meters and the VMP string is 216 and the string current is 5 amps. So actually it has 4 strings connected in parallel and it's connected at this point here. And from this point, there is another cable 90 meter in length. So another cable 90 meters in length need to be used to connect them to a central inverter. So assume we still want a maximum voltage drop of 2.5%. Calculate and determine the proper cable size for copper cables and aluminium cables. So do the calculation on your own and answer them in ULearn using the feedback that I will open soon. Okay, please answer this exercise as proof that you have watched this video. Okay, so that is about cable sizing. I welcome any questions. You can contact me through WhatsApp or any relevant communication means, maybe through email, but most easily is through WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams. So thank you. In our next video, I will share about system performance and the calculation for system performance.